Alright, so I've recorded this video multiple times now, and I always just am not happy with it every time I finish, so I've got some notes here that I'm going to try and stick to avoid rambling and just feeling very disconnected. But first off, I don't know if you can hear, but I got a new mic. It actually isn't a new microphone. It's an old microphone that I had. It was at my parents' place that so I didn't have it when I first started, but now I have it. I think it sounds better. It doesn't have a pop filter on it, so I'm looking at the levels kind of peak right now. So I'm gonna sit back a little bit, but I will be getting a pop filter soon, so that should help with things. I guess in other news, still don't have a job for the upcoming semester, so it's looking like I'll be going back to school for my final semester, and then I guess we'll take it from there. I guess the silver lining in that is that I'll be graduating a semester early because I won't be pushing back my graduation into the spring. So, I mean, I will take solace in that. And then, I don't know I guess actually no one watched my previous video, but in that previous video, I talked about how I was in a pretty major car crash, and we're just now getting some movement on that. There's now a criminal investigation because the guy that was going the wrong direction was drunk. Very lucky to not be the one that suffered the head-on collision. I hope the guy who did is doing okay. I heard that he's been in and out of the hospital, but in regards to that, insurance should be looking at my car soon to see if they're gonna rule it a total loss, or if they're gonna rule it as just like major damage that they're gonna set a price tag on how much repairs will cost. So we'll see. Health situation is still frustrating. Still having problems with that. But I'm looking into some other options. And I guess we'll see how that goes as well. The one thing I wanted to talk about today is the idea of creative projects, or projects that don't have like immediate repercussions for not completing. Like, if you have projects that you have to do for school or for work, if you don't finish those, within a certain amount of time, there's going to be immediate repercussions for that. You'll either get a lower grade for turning it in late, or just get a 0 for not turning it in at all. Or you're gonna, possibly have some sort of, repercussions at work. And if you do that enough, or do it for a big enough project, you're gonna get fired. But for creative projects, so for projects where the reason for finishing the project is all on you. There's no like outside pressure. Those are the projects that I want to talk about today, and the fact that I can never seem to finish them. I will get these ideas for new projects, for new creative projects, and then I'll be really excited thinking about them, the idea of them. And then I either won't even start them, because I think, oh, that's just too much work. Or I'll start them, and then I will very quickly lose motivation to continue them, to continue working on them, or just lose interest, stuff like that. And that has been like a constant throughout my life, that I have these ideas for projects that I don't even start, or if I do start them, I don't really get far into them. I guess some examples would be like sort of higher effort YouTube videos. So I do have these ideas for more high effort YouTube videos that I do want to make, where they include stuff like researching, script writing, more high effort editing, and I have ideas for them, but I either don't start them, or I don't get very far when I do start them. Another example would be like when I was in college, in undergrad. So this was like I went to undergraduate from 2018 to 2022. And during that time, I was in the stand-up comedy club with my roommate, who I had for all 4 years. And I really enjoyed it. I did a couple sets, like I think 3, maybe 4 sets. And I would go to the stand-up comedy club, meetings, which I think were every Thursday. And I would have ideas for sets and ideas for jokes, and I would bounce them off of other people. And they would sort of give me pointers and tips for, I think, what if you, explore it in this direction? What if you sort of present the joke this way? And after graduating, I had these ideas for, new jokes and new bits to do for stand-up sets. But since graduating, I have not done a stand-up set since. And, kind of partly because where I was living after graduating, there wasn't really, I was living in like a rural area, so there wasn't really a place to do stand-up shows. But even still, I wasn't really writing sets or bits or jokes. I just had ideas for jokes that I would write down and not really develop them further. Another sort of example, not really a project per se, but sort of stuff in line with the fact that I don't finish things, are video games, specifically newer video games. But I do realize that I was still doing this with older video games. But with newer video games, like ones that are sort of really big, I will get very invested in them. I'll play them for, days on end, and then it'll just be one day where it like stops. And then I will either reach some area in the game that I am not super interested in playing, or, it'll get hard or something, and I will just put it down and I like won't pick it up again. So I have a lot of unfinished video games. Like, for example, Elden Ring. I was playing Elden Ring for such a, days and days and days. And then I think when I got to like Caelid, I just stopped. One thing that sort of makes that difficult is for me personally, I like doing all the side stuff before continuing on with the main quest. So I will spend like hours just in one area trying to do all the side stuff before progressing on to the next area. So I'll spend I think I had like 30 hours in Elden Ring, which is not a lot, but 30 hours, and for having like 30 hours and just getting into Caelid, that's pretty short. I guess that's a lot of time. I would say it probably was more. It felt like more. I would have to check on my PlayStation to see exactly how many hours I spent in Elden Ring. There are other games that I am not thinking of right now. Like Disco Elysium. I spent like 30 hours in Disco Elysium, and I haven't finished it because I just like go around looking at all the specific or just little, places that I can explore before continuing on with the main quest, even though there isn't really a main quest in Disco Elysium. It's literally just about you going around multiple different places, like just exploring, basically. Which is why I've been playing a lot more older games. Like, I've been playing more games on my emulator, like Game Boy games and Nintendo DS games, because those are, I can finish them, and I get some sort of satisfaction with finishing them. Like, I recently played through a bunch of old Game Boy games, like Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. That was up on my channel as one of the gameplays. Played through, what else? Let me look on my phone, see what I played through. Played through Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. play through all of Mario Party Advance, WarioWare, so like sort of shorter games, but games that I was able to complete, which gave me that satisfaction. So what am I doing to try and fix this sort of habit that I have of not really finishing larger creative projects? One thing that I've been doing are these videos, which are very low effort. I just get in front of my computer, say some shit into a mic, record some gameplay, and upload that to YouTube. But I would still consider it somewhat creative because it is all coming from me, and no one else is having any input on it. But it's something that I can finish also. So it's a low effort, not very creative, but still technically creative project that I can finish, I can upload to YouTube, even if it's shit. And having the video up on my YouTube channel is physical proof of all these projects that I've finished. And the fact that no one else had any input on these videos and they were 100% me gives me that same sort of satisfaction of completion. I also have this not great view of when I let other people in on my creative work, I start to not view that creative work as my own and start viewing it only as what the other person did. So it's like, if someone else helps me with my creative project, why should I be prideful? Why should I have all this, satisfaction when it's completed when, they did all this stuff and my mind basically goes, because they did all this stuff, that it's not really my work anymore. So why should I take joy in completing it? Which is not a great sentiment to have. So I'm trying to work on that. And I guess that sort of moves into the point of trying to balance my own creative desires and ideas for projects with other people's relationship to that project. Like, if I don't let people in on my creative process, then there's a very high likelihood that it will just not get off the ground because I'm not having anyone to kind of hold me accountable. Even if I just tell other people that, hey, I'm doing this creative project, they're not having any input on that project, really, but just the fact of telling them that I'm doing it gives me some sort of external accountability, because there will be this thought in my mind if I start to stop the project being like, oh, what about this guy that you told? What if he asks you about this project? Then you'll have to be like, oh yeah, I stopped that project. And even though that will never happen, like people really don't care that much to be like, oh yeah, what about this specific project that you were working on that you like mentioned in passing? It's still this little bit of external accountability that I think is helpful to have. But I don't know, the entire concept of creating or starting, finishing creative projects is frustrating for me. And I recently watched a video by Super Eye Patch Wolf on his other channel. He was talking about the situation with Hank Green and how he uses AI in certain points in the process of making his videos. And there's something that he said that stuck out to me because it's something that I have thought about, maybe not distilled into this like sort of pure of a quote, but it's definitely something that resonates with me, is why are you making, or I guess he says, why are you making a creative project? Are you making it because you love making it, or are you making it because you like the idea of you making it? And he said those are two completely different things. And I said, yeah, I agree with that. But I think the problem with me is I still don't know the answer to that. in regards to most creative projects that I do. I have this initial burst of motivation, but is that because I enjoy making the project, or do I enjoy the idea of me making it? And you might say, oh, because the process never gets past the idea phase, that's probably in the second, you're probably in the second camp of you just like the idea, which is fair. But then, you start getting into, well, what if I am in the first camp, but it's just a problem of relying only on motivation versus discipline, and hoping that motivation carries you through the entirety of the creative process, which should not be the case. I think you got to have some amount of discipline for, creative projects, even if a creative project is supposed to be one where it doesn't feel like you're working. If you're being truly creative and you're truly excited about it, it doesn't feel like you're working. But I notice for me that I can fall very quickly into very low effort habits, like doom scrolling or watching videos on YouTube, just watching the same videos on YouTube over and over. I do that a lot. I heard that's a sort of, if you do that, you are very likely, that's sort of like an anxiety mechanism. They are watching the same videos over and over. But I do need to find more discipline with creative projects, I think. And once I find more discipline with creative projects, putting in work even when I don't want to do it, I think the answer to the question that Super Eye Patch Wolf gave in his video, the answer to that for me will at least become more clear. And I guess to finish this off, one thing that I've also been trying to do is I've been trying to improve on every video in a new way. So like the most previous video I did, I made a thumbnail. It was a very basic thumbnail. It was literally just a screen grab from the recording with some text over it, but it was something that I hadn't done before. And then now for this video, I've written down bullet points to hopefully, I hope this has kept me on track a bit more, but I wrote down bullet points to make sure that I'm hitting all the things that I want to say. Whereas before I was literally going off the cuff and I had ideas in my head that I was just saying when they came to me. But with that, you can very easily forget something that you want to say. So I want to try and do that with every new video, to do something new, do something that is an improvement on the last video, to get further in my skill trees, as Super Eye Patch Wolf says. I think his name is actually John. I think, but it feels weird to call him John. I don't. It seems weird to call YouTubers by their first name when you don't know them personally. But that's all I really wanted to talk about in this video. I hope to be, like I said, improving on every next video. I don't know if this channel will eventually become the channel where I will start doing more longer term creative projects that require more work and effort, or if I'll start a new channel for that and just have this one be the low effort, semi rambling, semi scripted, now that I have bullet points next to me, type of videos. But we'll see. I do want to also sort of speed up the process, as in like trying to do something for this channel. Maybe not every day, but like every other day, coming up with video ideas, recording gameplay, stuff like that. But I hope if any of this resonated with you, you found it interesting, and you maybe there are some people that are like me where they want to create, but they can't seem to get out of their own way. And I hope this video can be a catalyst for change, even if it's very low effort and even if no one watches it. I'll still upload it, and I will still have that video up there as a reminder of the work that I put into it, even if the work is very minimal. But that's it for today's video. Hope you all have a good day.